Most people aren't going to run a node or give a shit. Doesn't matter what you say, they aren't. Most don't give a shit about what an XPub is, what a UTXO is. They don't care. They want to buy it, see a number, and move it. And that's it. And however much you want them to care, they're not going to care. They just don't. And yes, a small percentage will care, but those small percentage tend to be the techie, the early ones, and they think everyone should be like them, and they won't be.
Which brings us to another vision conflict that we have, which I think is important to kind of articulate and to think about, is the vision... So, I mean, everybody wants more people to use Bitcoin in whatever definition of use that you want to choose. But do we want everybody in the world to be orange-pilled and to share in all of the shared values of the Bitcoin community? And do we think that's a realistic goal? Right? Or do we want as many people as possible to use Bitcoin as a thing, even though they might not share in the values and just don't give a fuck?
I think the want doesn't matter. I think it's the reality. It goes back to my point early on.
But also the first one, I think is like it's unrealistic. Like there's no ideology that's covered the whole world ever. So no one at least. Well, we have like Christianity, like 1 billion or 2, and so on. Islam is similar, but like that's still not just a fraction of the world. But the adoption of Bitcoin is going to happen faster than you can scale Bitcoin ideology, or a Bitcoin ideology that you think everyone should adhere to. And that's why, again, going back to that earlier point, Jason's book's so important, because Bitcoin is now getting into progressive groups, okay? And it's getting into different geographies in different countries and different cultures. And therefore, we need to get out of this kind of like this monoculture of Bitcoin, which is kind of drifts between, it tends to go more to libertarian ideas and conservative ideas, which I've nothing against. It's just that shouldn't dominate. Well, it's not going to dominate the conversations in the future. It's going to be just part of, it's going to be a layer through all the culture. And so I think any conservative Bitcoiner who hates a progressive should actually put their hand out to them and lend them a hand and teach them about Bitcoin and why it's good for progressives, because we don't need to fight this issue. Yeah. But I mean, I think fundamentally, as we said, like as communities grow, they fragment and they fragment and they fragment, and the Bitcoin community has fragmented so many times. I mean, today what we call the shitcoin community was, part of the Bitcoin community. It's fragmented and then it's fragmented again and in different ways and so on. And so in the end, I don't even know if it's the most worthwhile to try to change the community, because there's many flavors of it. I mean, today already there's a lot of Bitcoin conferences, and they have different flavors. And you can't go to all of them at this point, so you have to choose a little bit and so on, and you go to the ones that more align with your vision and all of that, which is great. But fundamentally, I think that community at all does not scale enough. I think the tool scales. The community does not, right? Because, again, we're not going to come up with a set of shared ideals that we can convince everybody in the world to partake in. I mean, we can't even explain it in all languages, right? Whereas if it's a thing and it's useful, then actually a lot of people are going to be using it. It's going to empower them. I can give you an analogy to this. I think that VPN is a good model for how we can grow the transactional use of internet money, right? So VPN is a $44 billion per year industry.
Really?
Yes, it's
Holy shit.
Huge. And so if you run the numbers, so say that half of that is like corporate, whatever, but the other half, 20 billion, is people who pay $5 a month for a VPN service. Okay, $5 a month, $60 per year, and then you divide 44 billion by $60, and it lands at like 200-300 million people in the world use VPN. So
that's to get free Premier League football.
Right. So all of these people are buying, privacy and internet freedom and empowerment, but they don't know that they're buying that. They're buying watch Premier League football or watch American Netflix. They're paying for, I can do stuff on the internet that I couldn't otherwise do.
Yes.
Right. And when it comes to the money stuff, there is a massive demand for that. We talked about getting paid in different countries. I mean, even e-commerce in a lot of countries is really hard.
There's if you're in the US or UK, you don't know that if you're well banked and so on. But like in certain countries, like your credit, even if you have a credit card, which not everybody does, like your credit card might not be accepted on most e-commerce stores because your country is seen as at high risk for fraud. And they decided that it's just a couple of %, fuck that.
Yeah.
And they cut you off, and you can't buy the sneakers that you want to buy. And there are solutions. Like you can acquire Bitcoin somehow. You figure it out locally, and for example, things like Bitrefill, or you just find a merchant that accepts Bitcoin, and then suddenly it lets you do things that you couldn't otherwise do. Right. And so if we think about how VPN got to this stage, so VPN is a 25-year-old technology. I'm sure there are conferences, but again, most of these hundreds of millions of people have never visited a VPN conference.
VPN Fest.
They've never listened to probably a podcast about VPN. They probably heard ads about VPN in other podcasts about other things. Right?
Maybe it needs one. What VPNs did.
Yeah.
That's what we need.
Exactly.
It sounds boring as fuck. A VPN conference or a VPN podcast.
Sure. But you know what? Most of the world says the Bitcoin conference is the same way.
No, I'm with you.
And so how did VPN get to that point? Well, you build something useful. You do different marketing tactics. You present marketing messages to groups of people that you think might be receptive to the value proposition. Yeah, right. I mean, it's very basic stuff. If you just zoom out from this, like this all-encompassing Bitcoin community where you hang on Twitter all day and so on, you know who the leaders are and blah blah blah. But like if you just zone out and think of normal companies, normal businesses, industries, that is how things grow, right? You build something useful and you try to present it to somebody who might find it useful. Maybe they would, maybe they won't. You try different things and so on. And it's grown steadily. There's no big uptake. There was no one day where everybody signed up to VPN. It's just been, steady. And then people in different countries discover that, oh, wait, actually, okay, I want to watch Premier League. Oh, I want to watch cricket, or I want to watch American Netflix, or I want to buy a plane ticket from a different country. And all of these reasons that are, again, very convoluted ways of saying I need privacy on the internet.
Mm.
And then it grew, right? And I think that we need to be looking at these things because it's a similar technology, right? It is freedom, privacy, empowerment, which are core values of Bitcoin as well, to see how can we replicate these things? Imagine if a VPN told you which food you should eat, or not eat, or which political opinions you should have, or whatever, right? What's your stance on wearing a mask, or Putin, or
they're neutral.
Exactly.
They're software.
They're a thing. It's just an app. It doesn't have to have a political opinion.
But that's same as Bitcoin. Bitcoin's just an app.
There we go. Yeah, and that's that's what we're trying to grow at Bitrefill, and we're trying to interact with all the other services companies, people who want Bitcoin to be this global thing, because I think that it can't be. This is also going to sound very simple. It can't be the money of the world if it's not the money of the world, and it's not the money of the world if you can't use it to buy stuff. It's very simple. It's oh no, first it must be sound money, and then it's no, okay, who came up with that, and what's the underpinning of that? Yeah, right. It's where does that come from? How do you know? This is what happened to gold. I very much doubt that there was in the early days of gold a community of people that say, hey, you should buy this. It's going to go up in value, and then one day everybody's totally going to use gold. No, it's not how it works. It has two properties. It has a scarce supply, and it's useful in commerce. Right? You combine these two things, it becomes a good money. Right?
Hey, listen, Satoshi said that in the white paper. He specifically talked about online commerce.
Look, everything that happens in Bitcoin was said by Satoshi and the following, at least within 6 months. Satoshi also said you might want to get some in case it catches on, right? Which that was the kickoff of the speculative mania that is not just Bitcoin, but also the entirety of the cryptocurrency industry, but also Bitcoin, right? Yeah, it's it started right there. It was first weeks, and so on. So all of these things were there, but fundamentally, if you couldn't use Bitcoin to make transactions, then it would just be an NFT. Yeah, I think. Right. It's just like a meme thing that people assign value to for some arbitrary reasons, and it goes up in speculative reasons because they think that that value is going to go up, and it becomes this game that like Bitcoin haters see it as. That's not my vision. Like my vision is again for everybody to be able to click to pay. A world where remittances is in the same part of the dictionary as long distance phone calls. It's like just an outdated concept that we don't have anymore, where if you can talk to someone, you can pay them. Right? If you can visit the website, you just click a button and you pay. Like all of these things, like if money worked in the way that the internet works, like what an amazing world wouldn't we have? Right? and I mean, this was and still is, the original vision of Bitcoin. Even though that now there's many different visions of Bitcoin, there's still a very vibrant community who see this as the vision of Bitcoin. And I think that now in the bear market, where it's going to go up forever, vision of Bitcoin is kind of on the down low temporarily. More and more people are questioning things, and like maybe we do want a world where your Bitcoin wallet is opened every day for a reason or another.